Maybe you used to trust what you felt, what you saw, and what you heard. And somewhere inside of that relationship, you stopped. And now you question everything, your memory, your feelings, whether you're overreacting, whether you imagined it, whether you were the problem. And you can't seem to figure out when that happened or how. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it happened. And when you understand this, it's going to change the way you see everything. Because the reason you doubted yourself has nothing to do with weakness and nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with something that was done to you deliberately. And most people never figure this out. Self-doubt isn't the problem. It's your superpower. Let's start with something nobody ever says about self-doubt. Self-doubt is good, not just okay, actually good. Intelligent. Self-doubt means you're willing to look at yourself honestly, to ask hard questions, to consider you might be wrong, to grow from it. That is not a weakness. That is one of the highest qualities a human being can have. The people who never doubt themselves, they aren't the healthy ones. They're the ones who stopped growing, who can't take responsibility, who can't look inward. Because if they did, they'd have to face things about themselves they're not willing to face. Self-doubt is what keeps people honest. It's what makes someone a good partner, a good friend, a good human being. You should be proud that you doubt yourself. It means you have a conscience. So the problem was never that you doubted yourself. The problem was that you were in a relationship with someone who used that against you. And here's exactly how they did it. You went inward and they never did. While you were up at 2 a.m. asking yourself what you did wrong, they were sleeping fine. That image right there tells you everything about the dynamic that you were in. When something went wrong, you did what people with integrity do. You look inwards. You ask hard questions. You wonder, what did I do wrong? What's my part in this? How can I show up better? How can I fix this? That's accountability. That's emotional maturity. That's exactly what a healthy person does when something isn't working. And you assumed, because this is what honest people assume, that they were doing the same thing as you. But they weren't. They couldn't. They didn't. Because going inward honestly means discovering uncomfortable things about yourself. Things that need to change. Responsibility that needs to be owned. They weren't willing to do that. So you carried it all. Every hard question, every sleepless night, every moment of self-examination for the both of you. That's not a character flaw. That's what it looks like when one person has integrity and the other one doesn't. So at some point, you stopped staying quiet. Your internal radar had been going off for a while. And finally, you said something. Hey, this hurt me. This doesn't feel right. Something needs to change here. You weren't attacking them. You were being honest. You were sharing how you felt. You were doing exactly what healthy people in relationships do. You named what wasn't working. And in doing that, you held up a mirror. And that mirror showed them something they refused to see about themselves. Suddenly, you weren't someone with a valid concern. You were someone who always finds problems. Too sensitive, too negative, can't let things go, making mountains out of molehills. And here's the part that matters most. You didn't dismiss that. You sat with it. You turned it over. You genuinely asked yourself, are they right? Is this me? That willingness to consider you might be wrong, that is integrity. And it became the entry point for your self-doubt. They didn't manufacture your self-doubt from nothing. They found the most honest, integral part of you, your willingness to look at yourself, and then they weaponized it. They aimed it inward until looking inward became the only direction you knew how to look. Now, everything I'm talking about in this video, why it happens, how it works, and most importantly, what it actually takes to come back to yourself after it and trust yourself again, I walk through all of this in my free live relationship clarity masterclass. The link is in the description below. You were trying to solve something that was never meant to be solved. Every time something went wrong in that relationship, you adjusted. You tried harder. You communicated differently. You gave more, because that's what you do when you love someone and something isn't working. But the problem was never what you were told it was. Every time you got close to solving it, it shifted. Every time you adjusted, the target moved. Every time you finally thought you understood, something new came up that sent you back to square one. You didn't keep failing. You kept being failed by a moving target that was never meant to be reached. Because your trying, your questioning, your adjusting, your endless self-reflection was keeping you exactly where they needed you. A person who can see this pattern clearly leaves. A person who is still trying to figure it out stays. Your self-doubt, though, was not a glitch. It was the mechanism that kept you in. The doubt was never yours to carry. So why do toxic relationships make you doubt yourself? Because you were the only one in that relationship willing to look at the truth. And when the honest person can't make sense of what's happening, they assume the problem is them. The relentless self-questioning, the wondering if you were too much, the agonizing over what you did wrong, the feeling that if you could just figure out your part, everything would finally make sense. That is not evidence that something is wrong with you. That is the evidence that you are the healthy person. The other person wasn't doing this at all. They weren't examining themselves. They weren't losing sleep over whether they'd hurt you or not. They weren't asking the hard questions about who they are and how they show up. That work, all of it, landed on you because you were the only one willing to do it. And in the process, their unexamined doubt, their unowned responsibility, their unacknowledged damage, all of it got quietly handed to you until you were the one carrying the weight of two people's worth and self-doubt and calling it your own. It was never yours. It was handed to you by someone who needed somewhere to put their own. So of course you doubted yourself. You were honest and integral in a relationship with someone who wasn't. You looked inward with someone who never did. You tried to build something real with someone who was building something else entirely. That is not weakness. That is integrity in an environment that had no use for it. If you've been carrying this alone, the confusion, the self-blame, the feeling that you should have known better, understanding this is the beginning of something real. The next video goes one layer deeper because now that you understand why you doubted yourself, the next question is why, even after knowing all of this, is it still so hard to leave? And the answer is going to make complete sense of something you've probably been ashamed of for a very long time. I'll see you in the next video.